Welcome back to the Queer in Alberta podcast, the podcast where I talk to 2S LGBTQIA plus Albertans to share their stories. If you are new here, my name is Kels. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a queer Filipino Canadian. And I live here and make this series on Treaty 7 territory in the city of Lethbridge, Alberta, which is the home of the Blackfoot Confederacy, as well as the Oti Pimsawak Métis government, and specifically the Alberta District Number 1. Is this episode 3? I think this is episode 3. We are on episode 3 of season 2, and I am beyond ecstatic for you to hear this interview. This episode and this season, as well as season 1, was definitely made possible with the support of Telus Storyhive. I was funded through their Voices 2.0 and 1.0 program, and now once again for their video podcast program to bring you a season 3. So massive thank you to Bestie Telus. Thank you for making these gay dreams happen here on the Canadian prairies. I want to say happy Pride, and I definitely want to have that room for queer joy and celebration, especially when queer joy in this time that we're facing is such an act of resilience, of resiliency. It's beautiful resiliency. In a time when across Turtle Island in the United States, we're seeing, I think last I checked, over 500 anti-trans, anti-queer, anti-drag bills circulating. It's a bit of an intimidating socio-political climate. It's heavy. And then, of course, when you think about what's going on in Palestine and the atrocities there, the loss of human life, and how that's been ongoing since long before October 7th, it's a lot on my mind as I go into this Pride Month. This is all to say that there is a lot happening in the world right now, and I want to make space for queer joy. But for myself, I really think it's important to amplify the space for a free Palestine, for a free Congo. There are a few other really horrific things happening globally that have been lost in the discourse and chatter online. So I think with that being said, I would like to have that space for queer joy, but I think queer joy, like I mentioned, is resiliency. It's decolonial. It's no freedom for our people without freedom for all. And so for me, maybe that means my commitment this Pride Month is continuing to do that work and that research to understand what's happening and how to use the tools and resources that are available to me as just one person to be able to make even a fraction or marginal difference. Happy Pride. Let it be a time to celebrate who you are, to rally and relish in community, to understand how beautiful and vibrant your identity is, like I always say on the show, but also let it be a reminder that pride is a protest, which we hear over and over again. I don't want those words just to become empty and tokenistic and hollow, but I think it's important to remember that it's so necessary to mobilize and to let our voices be heard. So this is a month that we have a little extra push to do that, but you can carry pride with you every day. So that brings me to our episode for this week. And I think my gay agenda is just the Filipino gay agenda. Do you know what I mean? Like, this show is called Queer in Alberta, but I have had such the phenomenal privilege, the privilege of a lifetime for me to be able to chat with so many Filipino or Filipinx queer people on the show. That was something that, like I always say, I never expected this show, but that was one of the elements that I did not see coming and did not realize how much I needed, how healing it has been for me to sit with people from my own community, my own ethnic and racial background. I didn't know how much I needed that. I think that in itself speaks a lot to the importance of diversity and intersectionality when we're even speaking to marginalized groups or marginalized populations. This guest is our first guest for season 2, who is from Lethbridge, from Leth Vegas. And Diva, I think I mentioned I was at a drag show recently in Lethbridge that Carla Marks hosted and brought a bunch of performers from Cabaret Calgary down to do. And when she introduced our guest, she said, I think, quote unquote, this performer put Lethbridge drag on the map for me. And a truer sentiment has never been spoken. I love seeing this performer on stage. She has, and by the way, the stage for her, it's transnational, it's international, continental. Okay, I don't know if it's international yet, but I won't be surprised when it is. Of course, I am referring to the one and only Filipino drag superstar of Lethbridge, Francheska Dynamites. If you have not met Francheska before, you are in for such a treat. And I'm going to say it right now. Pay attention. If you have not been watching the video component of the interviews, This is the interview to watch the video. Francheska shows up in full drag. She lets me borrow a dress that is actually styled in Filipiniana. I felt so stunning. I was living my she-her fantasy. So you definitely want to tune in and watch the video component of this episode because the looks are serving. They really, really are. It's giving Filipino excellence. Francheska has been living in Canada for a number of years now, but was originally born and raised in the Philippines. We were still able to talk about our shared experiences as Filipino queer people, even though there are several nuances between the two of us. So, without further ado, in this episode for season 2, episode 3 of Queer in Alberta, we are going to talk about Filipino queerness, both in the Philippines and Canada. We're going to talk about immigrant experiences, reconnecting to culture, talking about Filipino gay slang called Beki Language. You're going to be in the know. We are going to have such an amazing conversation with the one, the only, my beloved drag mother, Francheska Dynamites, the queen of Lethbridge drag.
We don't have that LGBTQ plus.
Right.
I didn't grow up that. I never heard that until I moved to Canada. A guy like me who dress up like makeup or feminine or we call them bakla.
What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life.
Hello everyone! Hello! Mabuhay! Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Maupay na adlaw sa inyong natanan. Maradyo-karadyo na sa inyong hurot. Maayong gabi, maayong buntag sa inyong tanan. Ako ini si Francheska Dynamites, gikan sa Filipinas. And I'm your local drag artist here in Lethbridge, Alberta. My pronoun is she, her when I'm on drag. But if I'm out of drag, you can call me Kiko or he, him.
And you were speaking 4 languages there, yes? Do you mind listing those 4 languages that you just shared?
I start with Tagalog, our national language, and then Waray, Waray language is the native dialect of my parents from Leyte. Surigao Nun, which is the native dialect of the native people from Caraga region, which is the islanders, which I grew up. And the last one is Cebuano or Bisaya, where Visayan people spoke. Widely spoken language in the Philippines, Bisaya.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier just amongst ourselves about how a lot of people, if they don't maybe know that much about Filipino culture or history, they think we just speak Filipino or Tagalog. But just like Francheska just showed, we have so many languages in our country.
Yep, that's correct.
So tell me a little bit about your story, Francheska. I think the Filipino-Canadian community, they know who you are, they love you, they celebrate you, but tell me a bit about how Francheska came to be.
Well, I started doing drag during the first ever Tabor Pride. I think that was back 2017 or 18.
Yeah.
It was just by accident. I had no plan to do drag. Dione from Theater Ultra just teasing me, oh, maybe Kiko, you should do drag. And the next thing I know, I already dressed up and did my first ever performance at Tabor Pride Festival.
Yeah.
And after that, I was scouted to join a pageant in Miss Philippines Canada Queen Pride. And sign up for a drag competition for Alberta's Next Drag Superstar, and here I am.
Here you are. Boom, there it is. Easy pathway when you talk about it like that. But for those that are maybe not from Lethbridge, Theater Outre, what is it?
I'm sorry?
What is Theater Outre for people that are maybe hearing about it for the first time?
Theater Outre is known for also a club. Didi is a small theater company here in Lethbridge run by a LGBTQ plus family and ally. Mostly all the staff are theater actors from university, and it used to be a disco bar, a dance club, but it's also converted into a theater. And I'm a regular artist for drag brunch at the Wigs and Waffle, which is also under Theater Outre Talents.
Yeah, you do all kinds of things in the city. I think the times that I see you perform the most, though, are definitely for Pride. I always see you representing, and it seems like you really enjoy yourself when you're on stage.
That's right. You gotta enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
Or else you're not gonna love it.
Well, that's so funny because when we've even talked about it just before, the two of us, you talk about how you kind of fell into drag. You didn't necessarily think to yourself, I really want to be a drag artist. Can you maybe tell me a bit more about that?
Well, like I said, I was just teased by Dione to do drag in Tabor. But before that, I was one of the volunteers, backup dancer of local drag artists here in Lethbridge. And I did some opening numbers. And I brought the Filipino talents but I wasn't in drag. I was in Kiko, and I just love to perform. I just love to perform, and I noticed that drag here in Lethbridge or in Canada in general is very popular. That's the only way I can show my talent or to be in the stage. So when I did drag for the first time, I felt like, okay, I like what I'm doing. I love performing, people loving it, and I might as well continue. And then here I am.
Might as well.
Yeah.
That's funny. And so did you find like when you maybe did your makeup for the first time, was it kind of like not surreal, but was there like a special feeling with it? Or tell me about that experience.
It was one of my backup dancers who did my makeup.
Oh,
I don't know.
really?
I don't know how to do my makeup. I borrow hair. I borrow a padding. I think I was only wearing my outfit that mine is the dress and the high heel. The rest are all borrowed.
Yeah. I mean, even me, I'm borrowing Francesca's outfit right now, which you helped make this a little bit, right? You said you bought the dress, but you altered it
Yes,
and
I altered
changed
that
it.
one.
And you do that with lots of your outfits.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to recycle or sustainable fashion. That's what I did. I go to a thrift store. It's one of the talent that every drug artist should have. You need to be innovative, creative, and I didn't realize I have that talent that I can create stuff, the costume for myself. Sometimes I share it to my fellow queens from the Queens girl group that I'm the lead.
Yes. Do you want to maybe talk a bit about the queens? Because we were going to maybe have them on the show in the future, which will be really exciting. There's 5 of you, right?
There's 5 of us.
5. And all of you are Filipino
Yes.
and queer. And tell me a bit about the queens.
We have 3 trans member on that one, and one drag artist me, and the other one is a part-time drag, but he likes to be referred as CD player, which is cross dresser, stand for CD player or cross dresser.
Okay. All right.
There's a Filipino gay language
Yes.
for cross dresser. We call it CD player.
I love that. And you told me before, Filipino gay slang is Beki language.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, you got to teach me a little bit of Beki language. The only one I know is korak. That's it.
Correct means correct.
Yes. What else is really good Becky language that everybody uses?
Modra.
How do you say modra?
Modra means mother. Modra.
Modra.
Merlat is female.
Okay, merlat.
A female. A femme is a foreigner assigned in Manila. That's what the meaning for.
Okay.
So we use that to tease for those Filipino or queer that who are dating a foreigner or
Oh, I
Western
see.
European. Oh, you have got a femme.
I see. And
So
then
we're referring it. So we basically is like an average Joe.
yes,
So
yeah,
Western guy.
a little bit of shade.
Yeah,
yeah.
who went to the Philippines and found a lovers or a girlfriend. We call them a femme.
That's funny. And we were talking before. What was it I was gonna say? There was another piece of language I forget about now, but it'll come to me later. But
Okay.
it's funny to hear. I think like the queer community, we tease each other, we have shade, but it's also kind of cultural for Filipinos. If we care about you, we
Yes,
tease you,
yes, that's
right?
correct.
Yeah. It's. I remember now when you told me we call like hey bakla.
Yes.
Right. So for those that don't know, what does bakla? How would you use that or explain that?
Bakla means gay or which is very bad word but if we are close with each other, we call each other like bakla. How are you? Even the cis woman we call a bakla. That means we are comfortable. It's like calling each other. How are you doing today? But if you call a stranger, it's a no-no.
It's not good.
And if you call a stranger in my hometown bakla, that's also offensive. But you have to be a special kind of person. We have a good relationship in order for you to call you bakla. You know.
There's something to be said about specific communities reclaiming
Yes.
language and like cultural differences
Yes.
of what things mean. Sometimes when we're in North America or Canada, we think everything is one way, but
Yes.
us both being immigrants, we understand there are so many different ways
That's
to
correct.
exist and be in the world. But speaking of which, I'm really curious. Like me, I grew up here. I am culturally Canadian, like we've discussed before. What is it like being queer in the Philippines from just your experience?
Well, it depends if you grow up in the city or you grow up in the province. It's kind of tough if you went to a public school in high school in the province. You get teased a lot. If you were born and raised and went to school from grade school to college in the Philippines, you grew up with a lot of bullying and judgmental and the personal question. Like there's no filter. They will ask you
Yeah.
personal, are you gay? Are you bakla? Like there's no such thing about anti-bullying during my time.
Yeah.
like
Tougher
like
skin
we
in
we
some
grew up
ways.
with bullying and judgment, and sometimes it start in the household.
I know from my nanay and my tita. It's like,
It's not funny though, but we live with it. We live with it. It's kind of tough. You see us everywhere, from the entertainment, television shows, comedy bars, salon, parlor. There's a lot of effeminate gay guys in the Philippines and a lot of trans in the Philippines. Sometimes they refer us with one term, bakla,
yeah.
or tomboy, which is lesbian. Bakla means a gay guy, gay man, or a trans. We don't have that. LGBTQ plus.
Right.
I didn't grow up that. I never heard that until I moved to Canada around 2010, 2012. So we just have one qualification for a female who act manly and lesbian tomboy, and for a guy like me who dress up like makeup or
Right.
feminine or trans. We call them bakla or bisexual, if you know that you like men and women.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting to hear about like this, the different, I guess, language and education and exposure more so. But one thing I think you've talked about in the past is how you could, like you say, there's representation in TV and people around you, but no political rights in the Philippines. Whereas when you came to Canada, it's a bit of the opposite. We have political rights, but the representation is a bit different. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, I kind of agree with that. The gay community brought life and entertainment in the Philippines. Almost every small towns and city in the Philippines, there's always a gay pageant,
Yeah.
beauty pageant, and whenever there's a beauty pageant, people will come and support because they love to watch us for entertainment. We bring joy, we bring people together. And if you go to a comedy bar, I never seen a drag queen before when I was in the Philippines. What I saw are comedian, stand-up comedian, and mostly of the stand-up comedian are queens. They always sing live.
Oh, that's
so lip
cool.
sync is not such a big thing back in the Philippines. You have to be a stand-up comedian or who can sing and host a karaoke in a comedy bar in the Philippines. But now have changed because of the popular show like RuPaul. But during that time, it's a pageant shows for the LGBT and stand-up comedian. You see them in commercial, TV shows, movie, hosting, parlor, salon, or even at school. Like we are everywhere. The only thing is we don't have gay rights for anti-discrimination. We don't have a national law. Marriage is still a no-no in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So if you dress up like a woman and you identify as a male, you are in the male sections.
No matter what.
No matter what, you have to use the male washroom. But sometimes we saw some trends who use some female, and they're okay with that. But in the other province or other city, sometimes you get called out. Like there are some incidents where a transgender woman got called out and harassed at the mall because she used the washroom. There was no law that protect them, or there was no awareness at the company or the corporate. So it's kind of risky. But like you saw us everywhere. We just don't have the rights.
Yeah. I don't know.
That
It's
protect
really
us.
Yeah, it's really, I think, important to hear about because while the experiences of queer people all over the world are different, sometimes we're facing the same challenges. And I think even like with the work that you do so openly here, just being visible is a sign of like representation, as we've talked about before. So you've told me in the past, though, that when you came to Canada, that was when you first started to maybe come out a little bit. Do you want to tell me a bit about that story?
I only come out to certain people, like close friends, classmates, or workmates.
This
But
was
if
in the
I'm-
Philippines before?
Yeah, in the Philippines, and when I came to Canada, to some people that I know that I become my friends, but I don't really come out if I'm not comfortable, especially at workplace. It's just like it's not necessarily if you work as a private caregiver. My first job here was a private caregiver, a nanny, and taking care of elderly privately. It's just like I don't feel like the necessarily to tell them, hey, I'm a gay guy, I'm a man, or I wasn't really out at the time. It's just like I'm not comfortable, and I don't want to make them feel awkward because I don't know how would they react. My priority at that time is to work,
Yes.
my status,
That's
my
what you
working
talk
permit,
about.
my contract. That's it.
Yeah, you were so focused on, like you said, getting your papers and all of that taken care of for yourself so that you could build a life in Canada that you weren't so much concerned about being out or
Yes.
not even close to thinking about drag
Yes.
yet.
Nope.
Yeah. You started your drag career after coming to Southern Alberta, and I think people think it's especially conservative and small town here, and yet it was where this drag superstar was born. So I think that's kind of funny.
I know, and it was in Tabor.
Tabor, yeah. For those that are listening, Tabor is small. It's pretty small,
I know
right?
it's really small. Like, I don't know. I was sometimes I have this personality. Like, I really don't care what other people think about me. I'm
I
not
admire
hurting you.
that
Like,
quality.
I didn't do anything about you. I mean, when I came to Canada, I am aware that gay people heard us right, but I just didn't practice that time because it's not important to my job. But if somebody will harass me, I will stand up for myself. And as long as I'm not hurting anybody, why would I be scared,
You know, you
to
saying that.
embrace myself? It's just a personal choice or preference why I can't come out in this certain location, this place, because of my workplace, my client. But now I'm free and like I can do whatever I want as long as I'm doing it legally. So why would I worry?
Yeah, disclaimer.
Yeah.
That's funny. But you saying that about how you have the strength inside of you to stand up for yourself. I just had a moment. I was remembering a conversation with my ninang. And for those listening, ninang is your godmother in
Yes.
Tagalog. I was going through some hardships at work, some racial microaggressions in the workplace. And she told me that I had two options. She said I could either say nothing or I could fight. And she said, if you're going to fight, you have to fight with everything that you are. And even though, she's so small, she can fight. And I think that's something also really special, like with our people. We can fight if we need to.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. But tell me a little bit more about the drag, because if the listeners don't realize it, you had a film come out about your drag story and about your work as a healthcare worker.
correct.
You've been able to do some amazing things in a pretty short period of time.
I know. I'm surprised. I'm surprised what a drag can do. Like, I can't believe after I embrace myself, my true identity, a lot of beautiful things that happened to my life that I never not expect. It's just like when you embrace yourself, who you are, it's just like you're attracting all the beautiful positive things. And that's exactly what happened to me when I do drag. I joined a pageant. I won a pageant. I signed up at drag shows. I compete at drag show. I made it to the final for Alberta's Next Drag Superstar. I got discovered for CBC Arts for Canada's Drag Season 3. And then I got discovered for one producer when I was performing in Medicine Hat from the Telus Storyhives. And they make a story and film about myself, which is Francheska Prairie Queen. And I did commercials with the marks. I did photo shoot with some known photographers here.
Yeah.
So I travel here and there. So I basically I would just go with the flow. I don't know how that happened. I just living my life and be myself. And I feel like I attract them. Like, I live in Sterling, Alberta, like the very odd place in Southern Alberta, Filipino.
Yeah, and like in a place that nobody would really expect it. Do you think there are any stereotypes about like drag in Lethbridge or in this area compared to bigger cities?
We're very known as conservative in general.
Yes.
How would I going to? I didn't get stereotyped, but I got harassed. I mean, I got insulted online by some
really?
some LGBT member from Toronto. Like, you're just a small town queen. You're not gonna make it to the big
Ew.
city. It's a redneck small town. If you go to Toronto, Toronto queens will eat you up.
Sounds like somebody's insecure.
And it's sad to say because that person is also an LGBT member. So there
yeah.
are some bad apples in our community, like community.
Say it.
So I don't know. Is that a stereotype? That you're just a small town queen, so I'll just own it. I'm a small town queen.
Yes.
And I'm loving it. And I built my empire in this small town. So,
I love that. And I think that there's something really special about what you said there, that you love being a small town queen.
Yes.
What is it, in spite of the ignorance of others, about being a small town queen that you enjoy?
Living in this small town is interesting. It is not a place I would suggest for aspiring artists. I'm here because I have a fiance, I have a work, a stable job, affordable. But if you're young and you want to explore art, I would recommend for you to travel in the big cities. to inspired to learn something and then come back here and bring it here to share it with your community. But if you choose to stay here, you really need to have a stable job. This is not a job that will make you survive. You're gonna be
Right.
ended up being broke if you want to be a full-time
Drag queen.
drag queen in this town
Yeah.
because we don't have much events in here. Like we don't have a show every weekend. There's a lot of nursing home. You can work in the healthcare
That's
system.
true. You should
which is
show
I
up in
do.
drag at the healthcare, and then
I sometimes dress up and entertainment sing
Do
for
they
them
like
for
it?
Christmas and Valentine, but I cannot post it on social media for privacy.
yes.
So, but I did volunteer in my nursing home workplace to entertain them, and they don't recognize me.
Oh, that's so
because when I dress up,
funny.
and most of them they have dementia, they will forget it anyway.
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, I did that. I entertain my clients once in a while, very seasonal. But yeah, I stayed in small town because I found that someone that accept me who I am, and I found an amazing family. You'd be surprised that there are actually accepting and loving people here. Like we're
Yes.
labeled as conservative, like redneck bad people, but I have amazing in-laws. Like my mother-in-law, like she would brought a wigs, sewing machine. When I get home from work, I have a sparkly dress in my bedroom or a wig, and my father-in-law would teach me how to drive. And if he knows that I'm going for a road trip because I have a show, he will make sure that my car is in a good condition. And my fiance would fix my drag room.
Your drag room.
Yeah,
I think I
she-
saw it in your
he
movie.
built a drag room for me, and sometimes when I come back after a week of travel, my drag room is organized. They're well organized than me. I'm not an organized person. My fiance would
Yeah.
organize, and sometimes his mom. So it's just amazing. Like
Yes.
it's just a stereotype about Southern Alberta that we are conservative, redneck, but there are great people in Southern Alberta. There are actually a lot of hospitable and family oriented in Southern Alberta. Something I like about small town is like people here, they take time to listen to you.
Yes.
They're not rude. If you go to a small gas station, you ask for direction.
They'll tell you everything.
They will tell you, like they make sure that you get it safe. When I travel in Toronto, Vancouver, I met so many rude people. Something I didn't see here in Southern Alberta.
And I think, yeah, it really highlights that stereotype of conservatism here. While it's not entirely untrue, it
Yes.
erases all of these wonderful people that you're
Yes.
talking about who are here, who are living vibrantly. I say it all the time on this show, like thinking in such black and white terms erases those of us who are queer in Alberta and who have a different story to tell.
Yeah. It's just, there are great people here in Southern Alberta, or else I'm not going to stay here.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's
Yes.
totally true. I just want to say, when we talk about that drag queen that was giving you some hate on the internet, that's too bad. We have enough issues as a queer community. It's better if we lift each other up and we celebrate each other. So shame on you, whoever you were. I'm coming for you. What is maybe a highlight for you in how many years have you been doing drag?
Since 2018?
2018? Okay.
17 or 18, correct me if I'm wrong. The first ever play with Pride. That's my birthday.
Yes.
I forgot.
Yeah, but maybe some highlight moments from this journey that you've gone on.
I have to say that being on Calgary International Film Festival,
For the movie?
yeah, for the
Yes.
movie premiere, that was beautiful experience. And then lately, I was invited for the Rosie Award for the 50th anniversary.
Cool.
I was
What is
nominated.
that? I don't know what it is.
It's Alberta Media Production. Film. It's just
Oh.
like a production film industry for Alberta media. So, like all the producer filmmakers. It's the 50th anniversary, so it's been running for 50. It's one of the longest award bodies for film in Canada. Longer than Canadian Screen Award.
Wow.
It's 50 years. That means they're being celebrating Alberta film, all of the film that made in Alberta, produced in Alberta. They have our own award ceremony here, and we call it a Rosie Award. So I was the first, if I'm correct, the first Filipino queen nominated in that one. Not the film itself, but the director, cinematography, all of that. And I was
Right.
asked to present an award for some nominees. So it was a great experience.
And did you kind of have like a surreal, maybe full circle moment when you did that? Like, wow, I started in Tabor and now here I am presenting at the Rosies.
I know.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Like, I don't know how that happened. I just go with the flow. That's I am.
And we've talked about it because I'm thinking about even your name right now. It's so explosive, Francheska Dynamites. How did you come to that name?
I don't have a drag name during my first performance.
Right.
So after my first performance, I got a feedback. Oh, you're like a explosiveness thing, like a bomb. So that's when I get the Dynamites. And I want first name, which is Francesca, because my real name is Francis. And when I was in the Philippines, I got these. Instead of calling me Francis, they will call me Cheska, Francesca. That's another thing about being back in the Philippines. If they know that you are gay, they give you these
Hard
gay
time.
names.
Yeah.
Like, they will tease you. Like they clock you or they out in the public.
It makes me think of, Gina Rosero. She wrote Horse Barbie. She talks about how even in the Philippines, when she was doing trans pageants and stuff, they would say that she looked like a caballo, like a horse. And so she took it and made it
Yes,
her
I heard
own.
that.
Yeah, just like you did with Francheska Dynamites. I think that's really cool. Some of the work that you do, like obviously you started because you just wanted to dance and you wanted to perform.
Yes.
But you've talked about how without realizing it, there's a responsibility that comes with a platform.
That's correct.
Yeah, you're shaking your head already. What does that kind of feel like?
I'm not very political person when I
Yeah.
come to Canada, and I don't understand that when they say like drag is a political thing because we don't have that knowledge during my time back in the Philippines. I just want to be a drag artist because I enjoy performing. But as I grow, I learn a lot of things, such as the indigenous right, the equality, the trauma, residential schools,
Yes.
the minorities, the mental health awareness. There are so many things I learned in the drag community that I didn't learn at school and the church. So I become educated, and then when I become an educated, I realized that I did a lot of mistakes back in the Philippines. The way I thought, my mentality, because nobody taught me. And then when I heard some friends at workplace say something bad toward other members of the minority, I educate them, I correct them. I don't call them out, but I talk to them in a nice way. I didn't realize that as I grow as an artist, I have a platform that what is representation, what is diversity.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I am doing those kind of terminologies. Having said that, somebody told me, do you realize that with all the things that you have done, you're already representing not just one, but you're representing the Filipino health workers, the drag, the small town queen, the Filipino queer, a public figure. And I'm like, what? I'm not ready for that. No, I mean,
it's a lot of responsibility.
there's a lot of responsibility. So somebody told me that you should be careful what you said, how you behave in the public, not to offend other people. I didn't know that my responsibility now. But
Yeah.
they're right though. They're right. But I didn't do this because I want to be that person. I just didn't realize that after being a drag or VM queen, it's not about partying or having fun, but
There's more to it now.
there's more to it now.
Yeah.
And I think I'm doing well.
I think you're doing fantastic, honestly. And I think this is a great opportunity to talk about things like cancel culture or responsibility. Because, yes, I agree. When you have a platform, we do have to educate ourselves and do our best to be knowledgeable about these things around us. But you are just one person.
Yes.
I am just one person. We can't speak for all of the different communities that we
Yes.
belong to with our identities. But we can always make a commitment to learn, to learn essentially from
Yes.
one another and from our experiences. And if we make our mistakes, always try to do better.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that's much, much easier and less scary than this fear of messing up. When you talk about your platform too, something that I've noticed about you is you have such a way of giving back that I think is also just cultural. We take care of one another as a people. Even in your movie, there was footage of you, I think either at like the Filipino Care Center or something with new arrivals.
Yeah.
And you gave them a speech and told them like, you're in Canada now,
Yeah.
you're going to be okay. What drives you to take care of community like that?
Back in the Philippines, we love to celebrate. We have festival. We have so many organization. Even at school, we always have buwan ng wika, a month for language. Like for that whole month, we're gonna speak only Tagalog, no English. Or we
Wow.
represent. It's just like a celebration, a cultural thing in the Philippines. We call it buwan ng wika, month celebration for our national language, which is Tagalog. every province has a different way to celebrate their festivals. Like the honor, the harvest of this, the harvest of that. For example, in my province, we have Bukusan festivals. It's about unity. We celebrate. And in Cebu City, they have Sinulog. They celebrate Santo Niño, baby Jesus, because it's a very Catholic. And they also have a festival for Milkfish Festival or Bangos Festival. So almost every year, like all year round, every province have different dates of celebration and festival. So it's part of our community to go together, to come together. We invite people to our town. We let them taste our food. We let them try our costumes, dance with our music, speak our language. Like it's a cultural exchange that also bring tourists in a certain province and city. And I mean, we get to the Philippines. Filipino love to party,
Yes, it's
love to
true.
party, love to celebrate Christmas, New Year, birthday, 18th birthday celebration, debut. They call it quinceanera in Mexico, but here when you turn 18 years old, and we love to invite Filipino artists to have a concert here, to produce a show. And the church, of course, we have a different Filipino groups with a different Bible studies. So they connect each other, and then we love to have a Filipino organization. So having said that, we have an amazing Filipino organization here from Calgary, Lethbridge, and even Regina, and they help new immigrants to settle down here, to give them some information about where they can go in case they lost their job, or resources, or immigration consultant. So as one of the volunteer and community service, they message me and they invite me, and I said, sure, why not? And I love performing. Eventually I didn't realize I could be a spokesperson as well.
Yes.
Inspired people. It just go with the flow. Like I said, it just happened that I did not plan.
Well, even listening to you describe all of these festivals and community gatherings in the Philippines, it's making me understand my childhood a little bit more. Because, of course, like for Christmas, we always did Filipino Christmas with like all of the different small towns and a big agriplex or something. And we all gather and sing and dance and perform. Or even on a smaller scale, going to somebody's house and so many families coming in and out. I always knew we did it because we were Filipino, but now I'm seeing there's this whole history of gathering like that I never knew about before. So thank you for telling me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm learning so much today. Look at that. Now, one last thing, I guess. What is something really special for you coming to Canada, this journey? What is something really special that you remember about this whole experience of being queer in Alberta?
Where do I start? Because I didn't came to Canada as to become a drag queen or pageant queen.
No,
I came here as a foreign worker to support my family, to send my brother at school, to build a home for my parents, and to send money every month until now. I grew up in the poverty in the Philippines, so it is not an easy journey for me. Like for example, before I came to Canada, I can't afford a decent home. So I was studying healthcare aid, and then I got my first job as a live-out caregiver and waiting for my visa application. So I ended up living in a cemetery. I can't find a decent house, so I found a slum, which is in a cemetery. So my bedroom wall is a cemetery wall. So
you told me about this before, and it's still,
So there's a one bed, a small tiny bed, one window, and a door, and a kitchen and a toilet, and a wall, which is my bedroom wall, and behind that wall is a cemetery.
Yeah.
So coming to Canada, when I get my Canadian visa that I'm going to Canada, that was a beautiful experience. I know all the hard work, the struggle, the challenges that I've been through is about to change. So when I came to Canada, I treasure that, I honor that, I worked so hard for this. I know this is my ticket to change my life, my future, at the same time to elevate my family from poverty. So for me, that was a beautiful journey when you get out from that situation and come to Canada and get here in Canada and start from the scratch and figure out and then
Different language, different culture,
yes,
everything.
and then I just enjoy my journey and I'm very resilient and full of hopes. I really don't know why, but I was such a risk taker and I'm don't easily get scared. Like if I'll do it, I'll do it. I'll fight for it. So yeah. So I'm from Edmonton, St. Albert, now in Lethbridge, and now in Sterling. So yeah. So here I am.
Here you are
Yeah.
and shining and radiant. And I almost feel a little emotional hearing you talk about it, because in your voice and in your story, I hear my mother, like what she went through. She also was a live-in nanny when she
Yeah.
came to Edmonton, gave up everything in her life to support her siblings through college before coming here. It's a similar story, even if we have different experiences. And your bravery, your joy,
Yes.
it just inspires me so much. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for
You're
coming on the
welcome.
show. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. And I guess if any of the audience wants to follow you on social media, what is your username?
My name itself, Francheska Dynamite from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Not really active in Twitter.
I know, me either. I don't have
So-
one.
So I'm so easy to find. So if you know my name, Francheska Dynamite, you can just Google it and follow me in my social media. It will pop out there.
Yeah, perfect. And can I ask you actually one more question, Francesca, before we go? It's kind of a big question.
Sure.
For people like me who are second generation immigrant or maybe mixed, grew up in Canada, they're trying to reconnect to their culture and understand their queerness as well.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you maybe have for them?
You should try to connect to our local Filipino Canadian community. Try to visit Philippines. Go for vacation instead of going down south here, or maybe you should go visit Philippines and explore. Get involved in our community.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's kind of intimidating though. We feel intimidated sometimes because of the language barriers. But Filipino community are very hospitable and very warming and welcoming. Ask your parents where is your province, mom? Maybe we should go there for vacation. Save up your money and save up your money. Maybe you should treat your parents.
Yeah.
Let's go for vacation. Let's have a family vacation in the
That's
Philippines.
true.
Go. There's so many beautiful beaches and it's cheap in there. And the food are
So good.
organic. The food are organic there. Especially if you go to the provinces. Yeah, that's about it. Or check out. There's so many Filipino events here. Not just fiesta in our community. For example, the LGBTQ plus, we create a lot of beauty pageants here. I've been into 6 different beauty pageants for 5 years, and they
Yeah.
are organized by a Filipino Canadian community, trans community, and there's so many talent competition for singing competition in the Filipino community. You should go check it out and attend. Just like you support your local drag artists in the bar.
Of course, they're
so
singing.
many raw talents in the Filipino community.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the vocalists in the Filipinos, because karaoke is just like our pastime.
100%. Magic sing my whole life,
I
every
know.
party. Yeah.
Leah Salonga is our Disney
Yep.
Disney
Icon. She's like a patron saint
Yeah.
of the Philippines, honestly.
Yeah, like Nicole from Pussycat Doll, Bruno Mars. So there's so many ways to connect to our community here. Check out their local events and try to support local artists.
I love that. Basically, just you're saying reach out and get involved, and the community is there to accept you. And I think that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's been so much fun to have Francesca on the show. Definitely check out all of the social media that she listed just now. And I think you have some other really cool projects coming up, but we're not allowed to talk about it yet. So keep an eye out.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye. Maraming salamat. See you.
Salamat po.
Hey Bakla! Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to another episode of Queer in Alberta. And for those of you that tuned into the video component, was Francesca not Stunalina and me not half bad in that dress? Thank you, thank you. Big I love you to Francesca. I can't wait to make tapsilog for you next week. Hopefully it doesn't taste too bad, but we're working on it. It's a journey.
But that brings us to our Hey Bakla Q&A of the week. And last week's question was, how does your chosen family support you? And we got some great answers. Let me find them here. Yeah. So our first answer for how has your chosen family supported you as our Q&A for last week is from Tet from Calgary. And they said, they took care of me post-surgery when I had double mastectomy for breast cancer. I just want to say that I am so absolutely overjoyed that you had people to come and support you through something as major and significant and probably intimidating, all of the emotions for something like a double mastectomy surgery with breast cancer. I'm so happy to see that you're healthy and doing well post this surgery. Nothing but the best for you. And I think it's really amazing the ways that people who are not your biological family can come and support you. This one is from Sarah from Lethbridge. How has your chosen family supported you? By hyping me up as an artist, coming to my markets, even just to keep me company. Who would do that? Who would keep you company beside you at your market and peer pressure people into buying all of your stuff? Not me. I don't know you. Sarah who? If you know, you know. Our next submission is from Lanny in Calgary, and they say by being patient and not giving up on each other. P.S. Love you so much, fam. Honestly, just my chosen family answered these questions this week. And you know what? I'm not complaining. A slay is a slay. A win is a win. Love you so much too, Lenny. We're going to get you on my show. I swear. And then our last submission is from Sally in Calgary. How has your chosen family supported you? By creating a space of care and belonging and feeling both queer and Filipino enough. Okay, Diva, don't try and get me to cry on camera. Whatever. This is the gay Filipino agenda. Just feeling valid in our identities and our multiple intersecting identities. Okay, so that is it for our Hey Bakla Q&A from last week. Now let me think, what should our question be for this week? I totally forgot I need to do that. Okay. So our question for this week is going to be inspired, of course, by the episode you just listened to, and we talked to Francheska Dynamites. So if you were going to try drag, what would your drag name be? Put it into the comments on YouTube, DM me, or next week on Wednesday, I will put that question onto my Instagram story for 24 hours with a submission box for the opportunity for it to be shared on the next episode of the show. No matter where you are listening from, my friends, whether it is in Alberta, in one of the small towns or big cities, or maybe somewhere else altogether, I hope you're feeling so celebrated and seen and loved for the wonderful person that you are this Pride Month, and that you continue to remember that pride is resistance, queer joy is resistance, and there is no freedom for our people without freedom for all. I will see you in 2 weeks for that next episode of Queer in Alberta, and I'm going to give you a spoiler. She's featuring another Lethbridge queen, another Lethbridge drag queen. She has been doing her rounds in the city and is part of a trio of queens that host a monthly drag show. The show is called Babes and Brews, and we are talking to the one, the only, POPPY PUFFTER. Mwah! See you later!